Brexit trade talks could be heading towards no deal, according to an analyst, as the EU threatens to pull out of talks. Months of deadlocked talks could have all been in vain, as EU negotiator Michel Barnier warned David Frost that progress is needed to stop Brussels walking away. He demanded that the UK compromise on key issues to keep negotiations alive. There is little over a month before the transition period ends, the deadline for when a deal is supposed to be formed. This comes after DW, German broadcaster, analysis in which it was warned that a no-deal Brexit could be in sight. The report earlier this month exposed a worrying outline of where talks had got to. The presenter said, "We have covered the Brexit story for almost half a decade now. We have reported on free trade talks over many months. Now the end could be in sight, and it's not looking very good. There are just days remaining for London and Brussels to come to some sort of agreement. We know deadlines have been broken before, but striking a deal is still nowhere in sight." EU negotiator Mr Barnier has stuck by his red lines on key issues for months, while the UK has also refused to compromise on its own demands. Prime Minister Boris Johnson wants more control over UK fishing waters, a promise made to fishermen and other Brexiteers in 2016. But Brussels has said that, if the UK wants access to European markets after Brexit, it must be granted the same access to British waters it enjoyed previously. Mr Barnier has also warned the UK will have to accept a level playing field of regulation for a trade deal to be struck. DW spoke to Irish Foreign Minister Simon Coveney, who echoed this warning. He said, "We have little more than 40 days left to the 1st of January when everything changes. And of course it takes weeks to ratify an agreement of this scale, so that is why everybody is now pointing to the next 10 days as a period where we really must find a way forward. Otherwise I think we have to start preparing in a very intense way for a no-deal Brexit, which is the last thing we need in the context of COVID as well." DW's Brexit analyst, Alex Forrest Whiting, later said in the same broadcast that the EU fears UK competition outside of the bloc. She said, "Europe does not want to have a big rival on its doorstep. It wants to make sure that the UK is not going to end up subsidizing companies and therefore become a threat." However, the expert also told of how frustration has built up on both sides during talks, putting negotiations at risk.